Hi, Maradona and Sin Lee Jane. Welcome to Spot Check, guys.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Oh, yes, definitely. Excited.
Sure
Yes, looking forward to it.
not? Okay, before we get started, guys, this is going to be very different from, all this time that I've been meeting you guys and interviewing you guys. So, for the sake of our viewers, maybe you guys could introduce yourself, introduce the Malaysian Tenpin Bowling Congress first, and then we'll take it from there.
Right. Okay. Well, the Malaysian Tenpin Bowling Congress is actually the governing body for Malaysian in bowling. We are one of the, I would say, the best sports in the country in terms of winning medals. We have been winning medals for the past 20 years, and most of them are gold medals. As a matter of fact, in the official events, we already have about 200 gold medals
Wow.
in our stable.
Okay.
So that's a big achievement by bowling. Hopefully, with this podcast, we will get more supporters to understand the Malaysian bowling team and our heroes in the squad. Yeah.
Okay, we try lah. We try to do
We
our
try.
best, Mara. Okay, so Mara, just to get things started. Okay, so Jane, also you can just chip in anytime you want to say something, right? MTBC has been around for a very long time. If I'm not mistaken, since the 1970s.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, it has been run by one guy.
One person. Yes.
One person, right? For the longest time. He was the founding member. He became the president. And unfortunately, he passed on early this year. So he's none other than Datuk Dr P. So, Mara, you and Jane have been working with him for a long time. I guess he was there even before you guys came in.
Well, he was there when I was born.
There you go. There you go. So, you just mentioned, right? You said MTBC is one of the most successful national associations. What is it that he did to make that possible?
I think Dr. Nathan, what he did was mostly towards everything he did was for the athletes. Everything he did was for the sport. So he's a visionary. So he sees things that no ordinary person would see. And he's been teaching us for a long time. Since I knew him, he was always telling us about understand the past. And then instead of just understanding the past, we must also understand the future, look at the future, what is coming, what's new. And he's not one that, sometimes we always say they stay too long, they don't move forward. He's one that is always looking way ahead. He's thinking outside of the box. He's looking at things. He's teaching. He's always teaching us. Even the athletes, he goes down the lanes and tells them what to do. And mind me, we are world champions. I mean, they are world champions on the lanes, and he still does that, going down there and telling them what to do. So I think that's where he comes from, and that's where the success comes from. It's always about the team. It's always about maintaining the hierarchy in the team. So the coach stands a very high esteem there. So the athletes understand that. He never undermines the coach in that sense, so that the respect is always there. He doesn't step on the coaches and stuff. So they had the free hand to do it. Holloway has been doing it for a long, long time. Another thing that he actually saw was that our local coaches could be world beaters. So that was another thing that I think he did a very good job in. Early 2000, Malaysia is not yet a world beater, but he had the vision that he wanted a Malaysian to lead the national team.
Okay.
A Malaysian coach to lead the national team, where all other countries are going to the Americans as coaches and hiring foreign coaches. So he said, no, if we want to hire coaches, we can. If we need foreign coaches, we would bring them in. But with Holloway as the head. And they come in as consultants and just to help out in the short term. So I think that part built the legacy of the Malaysian team. Now Ben Heng has been with Holloway for a long, long time. He's when he took over, the team still continued winning. So I think that's the winning formula that Malaysia has moving forward.
And Jane, would you agree? I mean, as a player, of course, Mara can talk from a administrator's point of view, right? But you coming in the national team, and even until today, you're still a player with the national team. What do you remember most about Datuk P. In fact, he was a bowler himself, right? But like what Mara said, he never came in, he never interfered with how things were run. But what is your most memorable, memory of him?
For me, it has been a great journey with him, and it's a privilege to be under his wings for so many years. And as a player, I guess he had given us a chance and also a opportunity to represent Malaysia team in Asian stage and also the world stage.
Yeah.
So as what Mara mentioned, I guess it's all about trust and also the confidence that he gave to every one of us, the admin side and also the players and the coaches, whereby, we know that we are worth fighting medals for the countries. And also, he always just asks us to do our best.
Yeah.
And look forward and think further ahead.
Yeah. But I still remember, every time when I come and watch you guys play, especially during tournaments, and then, we will go and lepak at the cafe there, right? Yeah. And then you see Datuk will walk in with his white pants and his white shirt and then his green jacket. And then he had this very serious look, right? Sometimes I'm a bit afraid, he will look at me and he'll be like, "Hey, Fabian, you're here." And then he'll walk up to me, it's like, "So what stories are you working on?" And then he will start telling me like, "Hey, okay, so go and cover this person. This person has won this. Go and cover this person." So he was such a hands-on person, right? Like, very serious, no nonsense kind of guy, I would think. But I'm sure he's not that strict, right?
Well, he can be very strict. He can be very strict.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Doc that's the one thing about Doc. When you say he's always about highlighting the achievement of the athletes.
Yep.
He's always and he's hands-on. He's really hands-on. He knows what the best player is doing. He knows what the worst player is doing. And he always comes and tells us you need to encourage those that needs to come up.
Yep.
Know how to do it. And he is very, very hands-on. Yes.
So 50 years.
50 years.
Right. That's a legacy right there. I mean, 50 years. Moving forward, I know we have a new president now for MTBC, right? But for both of y'all, right, do y'all think that things are going to change? Are there going to be very drastic changes in MTBC? Or do you think Doc has pretty much set everything into place and you guys just have to follow that?
Well, I mean, from my point of view, as the Secretary General of MTBC moving forward, with Datuk Najib now helming MTBC, I don't think there's going to be a very drastic change. He's been with us for over 10 years as the Deputy President. Yep. So he knows what Doc has built. And he has also reaffirmed, the General Council that he doesn't want to make drastic changes to something that's working, to something that is successful.
Yep.
But he also understands the challenges moving forward. Of course, our main challenge has always been funding. So that is the way, I think in that part, we would see a lot of changes in the administration of how we generate funds, how we look for funds. I think that part, he is the right person to do it. He's with the bank, so he is a corporate guy. I think he will be able to help us in that division. But in terms of the national team, in terms of, I would say, how the squad is going to be, I think there's not going to be much changes.
Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about funding. We will get there. But I just want to just sidetrack a little bit. Now we come back to Jane. Now, Jane, I want to make you speak a little bit more.
Yes.
Can,
Yes, definitely can.
All right. So, Jane, see, you're so quiet, you're so shy, you're so low profile like this, but not many people know that you're one of the best in the world, right? And I think this year has been one of your most successful years as a player. You won 4+1 title at the PWBA tour in the US. It's one of the most sought after tours in the world. Maybe you can speak a little bit about that, and then we will go into the Asian Championships. Now, that's another huge achievement. So we talk about your US tour first.
Okay, so for the US tour, I mean, I've been on the tour since 2016,
Okay.
and then because of COVID and
Then you had to
everything,
take a break, yeah.
everything like stops. And then it was in my plan to go back again to compete in the tour last year.
Yep.
So I've made my plans and I've made up my mind that I'm going there.
Yep.
I'm going for the full tour, and I'm going to give myself a chance to to experience the full tour.
Yep.
Because normally what we do is we will only compete a few stops and then we will head back home. So this time around, I mean, it's a great opportunity for me. I mean, it has proven to be a very successful outcome.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm grateful that MTBC has given me a chance also.
Yep.
And they have groomed me to be a better player as well.
Yep.
And as an athlete, I think we have to take that chance when there's a given opportunity.
Yeah. And I think our Malaysian bowlers especially, we've done pretty well on the US tour. Not just the PWBA, but I think like people like Rafiq and all have also gone on tour. But Jane, maybe you can talk about the tour itself. Like, how many tournaments in total did you compete in this year? And then you can talk to us about the 4 titles that you won, and that led to you winning the PWBA Player of the Year award. I mean, you're the first Asian to win it, right? So
So I went to, I think, majority of the tournaments except for the first stop, because I was competing in the Malaysia Open, and then I went all out until the end. And for me, I never thought of winning that many titles. I mean, I was expecting myself to probably to have a TV final.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is a different format in the PWBA tour, because it's only a 1 game roll off. You win, you will proceed to the next next stage. And if you lose, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like a knockout stage format, right?
Yes, it's not like in Asia zone. Normally what we do is, if you're a top seed, you have a 2+1. If you lose the first match, you still have another match to go. For us, it's either you do or
win or out.
Win or out. Exactly. So I mean, it's very competitive to be competing in PWBA tour. Everyone, they are actually quite independent, and they are actually like, they know what they are doing. And they make changes very fast, very quick. They don't really hesitate on themselves and also on their equipments. They know the equipments very well. So for me, it's actually based on experience, and I'm glad to have some people to be helping, the ball reps to be helping me on equipment wise. But other than that, it's all on our own as well. Based on our knowledge, and also some people helping out.
But I think it must be very different for you to go and compete in the tour as compared to you being with the national team, right? I mean, if you follow the national team, you've got your head coach there, you've got your teammates there, but you went to US on your own. Did you have a support team with you?
I think I was only with Esther, but both of us, we were competing together. And other than that, I mean, Ben he always like texting me like, how are you doing? Are you okay? If I'm doing well, he will just like, oh, keep it up. And when I'm not doing well, he will just text me, are you okay? Like, are you in trouble or what?
But he can't watch the He can't watch the matches, right?
Can.
All of it live telecast?
Live telecast.
Okay.
But it's a paid per view, so. But we have accounts there, so.
Okay. All right. So Jane, do you have any plans or not to go back there again next year? Or do you think next year is going to be a very busy year and you probably not
definitely go back.
Definitely going back.
Well,
wow, there you go. Now you put
okay, I mean, last year we took a chance with when Jane told us that she wants to go and try her luck in the PWBA. It was actually a bit of a hassle for us in the way that we had to structure the selection of the team for the Asian Championships around the PWBA tour, which is 4 months. So we know we are not going to have Jane for 4 months. And then I always told my coaches that when she comes back, she has to be at the top of her game. You know what I mean? We got no time. We got no time. But I think went out very well. So next year, moving forward, from my point of view as a Secretary General, we have already decided to move the Malaysian Open earlier to allow our women to go for the PWBA. So we are going to fully support them again. Of course, not in funding. But again, that will come later. Yes, I think it was a eye-opener, and Jane has shown, that we Malaysians can do it. And I think we should encourage them to do. So we are going to do the same thing and allow our athletes to go and compete, and we will try to tailor our program around the tours.
And I think it was a gamble worth taking because
yes, it was.
She came back. And then now let's talk about the Asian Championships, where you guys went there and broke a record. I mean, not really broke a record, but you guys set a record there. 8 gold medals. The most any nation has won at the Asian Championships. Now, walk me through that. What happened there in Bangkok?
Wow.
This was in September, right?
September, yes. Well, a lot of people asked the same question. Why was the Malaysian team so strong? Why was the Malaysian team winning 8 gold medals, 5 silvers and 4 bronze? 17 medals out of 36. With Singapore, Korea in the lineup, which are the top 3 countries in the world. Singapore, Malaysia and Korea. So again, if you ask me today, there's only one thing that I always tell everyone, that our Malaysian bowlers are resilient enough that, if we struggle on the lanes, if the lanes are tough, we struggle, we don't break down that easily. And the coaches are the ones are always the backbone of the team. So they are always there helping, always there. Like Jane was saying, Ben would just come and say, "Are you okay?" Things like that to keep the team focused, keep the team in check. And I think the reason we won so many was because the lanes were tough. The patterns was tough. And yet we did not get ourselves frustrated. The team was not frustrated. They were trying their best to do it. Whereas the other teams may have lost that focus when the lanes got tough. So I think that was the only thing that I saw where we had that slight edge going into the championship. And Malaysians, the bowlers are all fighters. And I've been saying that for the past 10 years. I mean, look at that. We had Datuk Shalin, who's been winning for the past 20, 30 years. And now we have Jane winning almost everything. We have Rafiq. And it's not only the 3 or 4 of them, but it's the whole team. Natasha is a world champion, Siti Safia, Timmy Tan is Asian champion. So we are looking at a squad that it's a squad of winners. A squad of winners. And to the young bowlers, they know that if I make it to the national team, I'm world class. If I can beat them, I'm world class. And if I'm world class, I can I can be a world champion. So I think that was the biggest motivation that we bowling have in terms of getting that. And of course, our athletes plays a big role in getting the young athletes. Jane, Timmy, Rafiq, all of our athletes would never pass up an opportunity to go for a clinic, go for, like if you say, hey, we need you in this championship just to show your face, give us some medals, everyone will come. And they wouldn't go like, oh, I'm busy, stuff like that. No.
Correct.
So I think that's very important, and they understand that, and they're giving back to the sport. So that's where we are at the moment, of course.
But you see, as much as you guys are doing for the sport, winning and all those kind of things, as you mentioned early in this podcast, it boils down to funding at the end of the day. And unfortunately, bowling is not an Olympic sport. So when you're not an Olympic sport, it's going to be very difficult for y'all to get that sort of funding, especially from the government. I mean, of course, you might have your private sponsorship and all that. But would you say perhaps the next step to take is to try and secure bowling at least in the SEA Games and Asian Games to become a permanent fixture in these 2 major events? That could at least solidify your position among the other sports association and probably to get better funding.
Well, I mean, of course, Asian countries are looking at the multi-sport events. So we're talking about Olympics, we're talking about Asian Games, and the SEA Games, Commonwealth Games. So, but that becomes a problem when it comes to multi-sport games. The host plays a very big role in the sports they select. So it is not about, a lot of people ask me, why is IBF, International Bowling Federation, not doing more? Asian Bowling Federation is not doing more to secure us into the Olympics, Asian Games for a fact. But we also must understand that I think SEA Games, for example. In Malaysia, we had 140, 150 goals,
Yeah.
right? Then when we go to the Philippines, 60, 70 of them was just disappeared.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple map. If Philippines wants to be the overall champion, you have to put sports that you're good in and take away sports that other people are good in.
Yeah.
And in bowling, it's Malaysia and Singapore.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to give medals to Malaysia and Singapore, you take the sport out.
Correct.
That's one of the things that we see. And in Hangzhou, China, Asian Games, China is no way to be seen. And, and Korea, Singapore, Malaysia is going to take most of the medals.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, the medals to Malaysia is not important to China, but giving medals to Korea may be a problem there, and Korea are very strong. So I believe that is the reason why in multi-sports, sports like us, where we dominate, it's going to be tough. I've always joked with Holloway and said that, let's start losing, so that the sports can remain in the games. And but jokes aside, I think maybe that is part of it that decides it.
But I guess something must be done, right? I mean, we can't let this go on for such a long time. I guess bodies like OCM or even the SEA Games Federation would have to have an outline. Okay, these are your core sports. You must have these core sports. Unless for some reason, let's say you have an event in like there's no bowling alley or something, right? But then again, that should not be an excuse because you see sports like badminton, for example. You can't take out badminton, right? I mean, of course, it's an Olympic sport, but you would hardly see them missing out on, I guess the big story was the Commonwealth Games. But,
I understand.
Yeah. So, I'm sure you must have had multiple meetings with YB Hannah. Yeah, Youth and Sports Minister. What has been the impression that you've gotten so far from them?
Well, I mean, if the events are going to be hosted in Malaysia, bowling is definitely in.
Yeah,
that is a fact.
Yeah.
With all due respect, I think OCM has done a very good job. Tan Sri Noza has supported us a lot. He's still helping us in some way, trying to get us back into the Asian Games in Nagasaki. So that is something that I think OCM is playing their role. But again, it's not up to one Olympic Council to make these type of changes. And I think it's a continuous effort by everybody. We're getting IBF to get involved. We're getting ABF to get involved. Trying to build up the profile of the sport. We are also helping other countries. Singapore and Malaysia has been helping other countries in developing their games. So those are our coaches are going there doing clinics and stuff like that. So we hope that by bringing the level playing field closer to each other, we actually build the sport, which is good for everyone.
Yeah. See, now we're talking from a very administrative point of view. Again. So let's ask Jane, as a player, Jane, how have you felt? Do you feel like the support that you're getting so far is sufficient? Or would you say hey, I'm the best player in Asia right now. I deserve better, right? What do you think you need? I mean, now's the best time. See, your SecGen is here. You can just say it.
Lucky I don't have the power to do anything.
Demand. Start demanding.
I mean, as a player, of course, we do want to have more tournaments. To compete in more tournaments. I mean, you can see I felt it on myself after the PWBA tour. When you win more tournaments, you get more confidence. And when you have that kind of confidence, you will just...
You can't lose.
Yeah, you will be like... Poof.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Not just me, actually, probably you can look at Singapore.
Yeah.
Why were they so good before us? They were competing in more tournaments. They have more, I would say, they gain more confidence here and there. And when we do have the podium program under KJ, I mean, Malaysia and Singapore, we are always head to head. Right?
Yeah.
So, I guess if we have more fundings and players will have more chances to go out for the
tournaments.
opportunity and all. Yeah, no matter what, we will still gain something out of it.
Yeah. Actually, talking about Singapore, Jane, I read article, and it was reported by Singapore August men, right? And it was interesting to see how they spoke about Jane. Like, Jane has won numerous titles, right? Definitely one of the best in the world. Yet not many people know about Jane as compared to, let's say, a sport like badminton. And then you see these athletes, the sort of sponsorships that they get. Where else with bowling, you always see them tied up with usually bowling equipments. How do you think we could change that? What do you think we need right now to change that perception?
I think we need to expose ourselves more. Right now, what we are doing podcasting, and if there's interviews and all, I think it's time for us to let people know, hey, bowling is a famous sport, and we need to let people know that bowling exists, and like it exists just like badminton. Just like the famous sports.
In fact, even more easier to get into bowling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we need to, and right now, as you know, like pickleball has been making an impact.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants to go and play pickleball right now.
Yeah.
So I guess bowling need to be as interesting as them.
Correct.
Right?
But that's a very important message, I think, because I remember that brings me back to something that we've spoken about, Mara. The reason why it's very difficult for bowling to become like a TV sport.
Yes.
Right? Because there's so many people bowling at one time. It's difficult to
follow. It's difficult
right?
to follow.
To sort of air it on TV. And is that a reason why it's been so difficult to tie up with, let's say, a rights broadcaster or something?
Yes, I would think that is the biggest problem that we have is our format, the championship format. And IBF is looking into it, ABF is looking into it. We are giving a lot of ideas into trying to make it more TV friendly.
TV friendly, yeah.
So to get the supporters. I think bowling, the thing about bowling is you have 180 bowlers competing at the same time, and everyone is going for that. So you don't know who is leading, who is not leading, or you may know who's leading, but the number two could be like 10 lanes away.
Yeah.
So it's not a head-to-head thing where like tennis, there's no rivalries.
Yeah.
With bowling, we don't have a Lin Dan and Lee Chong Wei.
Yeah.
If we had a Lin Dan and Lee Chong Wei, then we had a story to talk about. In Southeast Asia, in Asia, there is such a story between Malaysia and Singapore.
Yeah.
Where, we always joke with the team, you go to a championship, as long as we beat Singapore, we're okay.
Beat Singapore, okay.
Yeah. And
as long as we beat Singapore, yeah.
Yeah, and Singapore has the same thing. The coaches will go like, we cannot lose to Malaysia. If we lose to Malaysia, we are in trouble. So I think that rivalry has built both our teams to become world class. And I do believe that. And I always share it with the Singapore coaches and the administrators that we have to keep fighting to maintain that. And in terms of format, I think we need to have more head-to-head. As much as it is, a lot of people say luck comes to play, but it has to be. Because we need the head-to-head to make it interesting. We need the head-to-head to show that it's 1-to-1.
Yes.
And it will be interesting, like the PWBA, the PBA when they reach the finals.
Yeah, the step ladders and all
right,
that. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So that's an interesting fight. Yes, correct.
Okay.
So we need those.
Yeah. And how long do you think it would take before something like this would really take place?
World Championships already changed the format to a lot of head-to-head. It's a round robin. So so the format now is actually tougher to win because, like Jane was saying, you can just lose one match and you're out. Yeah, you're out. So it's tougher. But of course, when you look at the end of the championships, the top teams are still winning. But of course, you have one or two top teams getting kicked out in the early stages. So that is something, but it makes it so interesting. It makes it more interesting. It makes it more people can engage, and it makes it more meaningful to watch every game rather than wait for the results at the end of it. So IBF is doing it. We do need to tweak here and there a little bit to make it more, I would say, time friendly.
Yeah.
And build that rivalry. Right?
Yeah. So now just going back into funding again, 2025 budget was recently announced, and then you see lots of associations coming up and saying, "Oh, we want money." Everybody wants money, right? So a total of 230 million has been allocated for sports development. I met YB Hannah recently at a press conference, and she had a very clear message. She said, if it is up to her, she wants to support everybody, right? But she has her limitations because she's only got that amount to work with for the whole entire year. Now, of course, there is this challenge because she needs to obviously show her support for like Olympic sports and core sports first, and then comes all these other sports, right? But one thing that she made very clear yesterday, in fact, most recently, is that these associations that want this money, right, they have to come clean first.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the suggestions is that they must open a separate bank account to get all this funding, and then they must report it back to KBS and MSN, of course, because MSN is very strict. They want that money to be used solely for development only and not administrative work and all that. Is bowling one of these associations that has gotten these funds and open a separate account and stuff?
We are one of the first that managed to have to sign this. We were one of the 10, I think the first 10 that was signing the agreement to do it.
Okay.
We do have a second account coming in. I mean, we have the second account already, but the funds, in a sense that now the grant has not yet got into the second account. I mean, they need some time to do it, but we foresee it to be something good. They will want to, of course, audit whatever comes out. The money is used correctly. And bowling, we have nothing to hide. We've always been prudent. We've always been one of the sports that actually, manage
good governance.
So Doc is very, very tight with spending. Like I always say, our athletes, when they go out for a tournament for 1 month, they only can bring one hand carry suitcase for their clothes.
Okay.
They cannot check in their baggage because all the baggage allowance is given for the bowling equipment.
Okay.
So they actually pack 1 month of clothes in a hand carry and bring up the plane. So with those type of, we don't pay extra to put another bag in.
Yeah.
So those are the things that Doc is very, has been, and we do it very well. Again, when you talk about funding, when you talk about everybody wants a cut of 230 million, of course, everybody wants more. But I always tell people, and I always tell our coaches, and don't come to me and tell me that funding is not enough. Don't come and tell me that the budget is not enough, because the budget will never be enough.
Okay.
I mean, you can give me 1 million this year and it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
You give me 2 million this year, it's not going to be enough. You give me 3 million, I'll send the whole team to US. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So end of the day, I said the budget is something that is given to us, and we have to work around that to maximize what we can and compete where we can, and produce what we can. In hope that by showing this, we will be given more budget so we can do more things. So that was the hope that we had. But of course, funding in the government sense is all about the multi-sport events and what events comes in what year. So we all understand that part. So we try to do what we can in terms of funding. And I believe moving forward, and my president agrees to it as well, Datuk Najib agrees, that we have to be self-sustainable. We need to find ways to make our own income. We need to find ways to not rely too much on government funding. And I think that is the way forward if we want to survive in the future.
So can I just ask you, Mara, like right now, right? So you see players like Jane and all, you guys are part of the elite squad, right? But you also have your national youth. So all in all, how many players do you all have under MTBC right now? How many of them are fully funded by the National Podium Program? That means they get like a monthly salary. I'm sure your coaches and all that are full-time.
Full-time. We have 5 full-time coaches.
Okay.
So all of them are full-time. For the podium,
they are all under the podium, lah.
Yeah, all under podium and the national youth.
Yeah,
so the
okay.
Piece. So our podium squad, we have 19 athletes.
Okay.
But one of them is under Bafasa, which does not have a salary.
Okay.
I think one or two. Two does not carry a salary because of their policies and stuff. So we have 2 that is not getting a salary. The other 17 are paid based on the winnings they've won in the Asian level, whether Asian level medal or world level medal. In our youth, we have 15 bowlers and all of them are under the contract.
Okay.
So they get an allowance.
Okay.
Not a salary, but they get a training allowance. So we have 34 athletes currently in our national team. And that is the thing that I always want to keep is my numbers in the squad. Because we need a big squad to maintain winning. We don't want to have too small a squad. When someone retires, we don't have anyone coming up. So we have a good number now and we hope to maintain that. And majority of them, of course, are paid by the podium program.
Okay. Yeah. So now go back to Jane again. So Jane comes from Perak, Ipoh, right? And do you go back, Jane? I mean, do you do anything else apart from bowling with the national team? Do you have something on your side that you're doing some development projects, or you're encouraging little children to start picking up bowling or anything?
I mean, if people come up to me, of course I will encourage people to bowl and all.
But so far, nothing like in Perak or anything.
Nothing much. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a bit tough for them as well. I mean, they're full time.
Yeah.
So there's not much time for them to do any other side jobs or something like that. But it's tough. It is tough.
Yeah. Okay, so now I think pretty much the whole year has come to an end. What are we looking forward to, Mara, in 2025? What are some of the big events that players like Jane and all would be focused on next year?
Next year for our podium squad, our main team, there is the Asian Indoor Games, and then there will be the World Championships, and of course the SEA Games, which will be the most important one in December. Only problem we have is that the World Championships and the SEA Games, it's 8 days apart.
Wow.
So that is something that now I've told my coaches that you have to decide.
But Jane can do it lah. Jane did it this year.
Well, it's not easy. I mean, you want someone to pick twice in 2 weeks. It's not going to be easy. Of course, if you ask me, Jane and Rafiq, I'm not worried. I mean, they are seasoned enough to do it. But whether our younger ones can maintain that type of intensity going into championships, and of course, don't forget that there is injuries that we need to worry about. When you over bowl and stuff like that, and these are things that you cannot foresee. For example, Natasha, when she won the world title,
I remember she
tore
was
the
playing.
whole ski. So in the singles, and we can't do much when that happens. So the depth of the team we have, but the coaches has to decide in terms of how we want to move forward. Going to 3 championships in 3 months.
So I've got to strategize that properly.
Right. If it was one in the year beginning of the year, one in the middle, one at the end, we would have this is a stroll in the park. It's easy for us to do it. But when you do it all 3 together, it's going to be tough.
Yes. But then you guys also have a tournament coming up in January, right? Which is
the World Cup.
World Cup, and I think Jane is going to go for the World Cup.
Hopefully she makes the team. Well, we have to keep some, Hopefully she makes the team.
Hopefully, yeah.
And what are your goals, Jane, at least for 2025? I mean, SEA Games will be the big one, I guess. You would definitely want to make it.
She wants to win everything.
Win everything.
Yeah.
That's what the athletes think.
Yeah, that's what in our mind. I mean, no athlete wants to win this,
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, guys, thank you very much for
having us.
Joining me on Spot Check, and I hope to have you guys back on the show again. After Jane wins more titles.
We'll win more.
Yeah?
We'll win everything next year.
Win everything next year.
We'll be back.
Okay, YB Hannah, full funding here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.